Ladies and gentlemen, the Inside NFL team are back again for another episode. Today, we're going down the NFL Dynasty trade targets. So we're going to try and find you some options where you can trade before your rookie drafts. I think this is a really good episode for anyone who is looking to make some moves pre-draft. There's going to be a lot of options here to consider with some possible trade analysis to go with it. So, but as always, Mullin, you're with me again. You're always with me. How you going, mate? How's your week been?
Oh, mate, absolutely never better. These are just the highlight of my week, getting ready to talk shop with you boys. And very keen for this episode. This one is for those absolute pests in leagues that just can't get enough of trading all year long, myself included. Absolutely love trades, could talk trades all night long. So, yeah, definitely going to be a good one.
Yeah, you're a real pest, mate. I'm still getting offers from you as well, and you just won't leave me alone.
I'll never stop.
But good to have you back, mate. I'm glad to see your beautiful face. And DFab, you're back in again. Rookie season's looking quite good for you, mate. How are you finding everything so far? I know you're a bit of a degenerate. You're probably smarter than me, which is probably not that hard. But how's everything going with you, mate, over the last last week?
Mate, it's definitely ramping up. My home dynasty league reopens for trading and stuff on April 1st. So the conversations are starting to flow and the chat picking back up. I've spent probably too much time between this and footy. I haven't done much of anything at all. So we are back, mate. I'm feeling good.
What do you mean you're back, mate?
I never left really, but
your home dynasty league is starting up now. Come on, mate.
Yeah, well, I mean, no, there's like a break. There's like a break period where it's like
a grace period.
You need some time to get his breath back because let's be honest, we all know that I send through 15 trades a day. So he's put a ban on it, and we're back open April 1st. So we're coming in. We're coming in.
All right, mate. All right, well done. As always, boys, the news. Let's touch on that first. And there was a bit of news that broke today. Let's start off with the most recent news. Stefon Diggs signed a 3-year, $69 million deal with the Pats. I believe it's only $24 million guaranteed. So it could be a one-and-done deal, depending on how he goes off a knee injury. But it gives Drake May, it gives the Pats another option, or an option, should I say, at this point. And I like the deal. I think it's a no risk deal for me. How do you guys find it, Mullin? I'll start with you. How do you find this deal?
Yeah, I think they had to get something done during the off season before the draft. Just kind of opens up their options a little bit more. And it just goes to show, they're paying Stefon Diggs on paper, 60 odd million for 3 years. He's 30 odd years old. Nobody just wants to go to New England at this stage. So they're just getting anybody that they can get. Hopefully this addition will help open up some other doors for other players to kind of come on board. And it's definitely great for Drake May. We love to see some help for him.
What do you reckon, DFab?
I don't think this really has many fantasy implications. It's phenomenal for Drake May's development. And for that reason, he probably becomes, not to jump the gun, he's not in my list, but he probably becomes more of a buy for me in the offseason. I've got a little bit more faith that with a real veteran, experienced guy that's previously been a top 5 wide receiver in the NFL and in fantasy as well, that's correlated to fantasy production. That's going to go really well for Drake May, understanding how to target an alpha. Wouldn't surprise me if the Pats use a pick on bringing in another big name as well so they can kind of learn under Stefon Diggs. But, more of a real-life positive move than fantasy. Doesn't really move the needle for me for anyone really at the Pats.
And I'm glad he said that another move. I was actually thinking when I saw this, they're definitely going to draft Ted McMillan, for example. I think him and Diggs would be fantastic on paper. It gives Drake May another option to use. They've got pick 4 or pick 5 from the draft or whatever it was. I think it's pick 4. And Ted McMillan, he's sliding a bit in mock drafts at the moment. But, I would be shocked if he doesn't end up in the top 5. I mean, I've been seeing him go in the 20s, which is absolutely absurd. But he should still be a top 5, top 6 pick, I reckon. The next bit of news, boys, was Russell Wilson. Let's ride. 1-year deal at the Giants. $10.5 million deal, but can be up to $21 million in incentives and everything like that. So And on top of that, boys, I'm going to mention Jameis Winston while we're here as well. They've got 2 new QBs, the Giants, and he signed a 2-year, $8 million deal with the Giants. So they've got 2 QBs coming into their squad for 2025. And look, if you're a Neighbours owner, I really, really am happy that they sign these players. But if I'm a Giants fan, I'm sort of wondering where the direction this franchise is going. I don't believe that at QB we drafted now with, I think they actually have pick 4, so maybe Pats have pick 5. But I don't believe they're going to sign or draft a QB. They've got their 2 QBs now. It's weird to have 3 QBs on your roster. So obviously they don't rate the QBs on the list, but we'll see what they do. What do you guys think about these 2 deals? I'll start with you, DFab.
Yeah. Again, great for, I guess, real life for Neighbours. It's and also honestly Tyron Tracy as well. It kind of brings some stability to the overall offense, which is solid. Both guys, they're not going to be world beaters, but you know what you're kind of getting out of specifically Russell Wilson, who I think is going to be the starter. I think the biggest thing to take out of it as a Neighbours owner is Russell Wilson has shown that he can support like a real clear cut wide receiver 1, top 12 kind of guy. So I don't think that the volume is going to dissipate for Malik Neighbours. You can hold him with a lot of confidence that he's not just going to be good in the future, but he's going to be good right now. So yeah, it's a good fantasy move for Neighbours. And like I said, with Tyron Tracy, who I expect to be the head back, showed flashes last year. It's running backs always benefit from a more balanced offense, and Russell Wilson knows how to break the pocket. He's probably a little bit too hesitant, but with him there, probably bolsters the running game as well.
Yeah, and I kind of agree with you both. As Maverick mentioned, kind of takes them out of the quarterback sweepstakes for this year. I think actually Giants, they might have number 3 because I saw Shador in a lot of mocks going to them within those top 3 picks. So they're just kicking that can down the road, bringing in someone that can support this offense. Brian Dable is definitely on the chopping block, the head coach there for the Giants. So he probably just, bring in a vet, hopefully try and win some games. But yeah, wheels up for Neighbours. This is definitely a great outcome for him. Sadly enough, no more Tommy Cutlets. He will be gone skis. He's third on the depth chart. So yeah, no more of that. But yeah, great for Neighbours. Yeah, I own Neighbours in a few leagues myself, and yeah, couldn't be happier with those additions.
Yeah, Tommy Cutlets might find a pizza joint down there in New York City, I reckon. That might be his next job. But no, I agree, boys. I think, Russell Wilson as well, for fantasy as well, I don't mind it. As a 1-year deal for fantasy, I mean, he's going to be like a QB anywhere between 12 and 12 would be high, but I'd say 12 to 18, I can see him finishing that if he stays healthy. And if he goes down or no good, they got Winston to come in anyway, and he's a gunslinger anyway. So, Neighbours to the moon, and that now solidifies him as a top 5 pick going into 2025. So
for sure,
it's a little teaser for our rankings, I suppose, for the off season. But yeah, Neighbours is a safe option. Brandon Cooks is back with the Saints, 2-year, $12 million deal. Not much there to really report on Brandon Cooks outside of him being a deeper option. And Michael Gallup is back in the league. He signed with the Commanders on a 1-year deal. I don't think it's fully guaranteed, but we saw Gallup when he was at his best. He's a very good player. So if that's just another weapon for Jaden Daniels to use whenever needed, that is great.
Yeah.
All right, fellas. Shall we get into our trade targets?
Let's do it.
So
very excited, Dave.
The process behind this is we'll have one each. I'll go first. Mullin will go second. DFab, you'll go last. And then we've got 5 players each, so we'll just keep going and see where we get to. So my first buy, and this is the cover man of our show. It is Ricky Pearsall. I think that he is looking really, really good. Looked really, really good at the back end of last year. In the last 2 games, he was the Warriors ever 7 and Warriors ever 14. That was in week 17 and week 18. He's only 24 years old. Now, he had a brutal injury. He did get shot in the chest and recovered. But all in all, mate, I think no Debo in the house is definitely positive for Ricky Pearsall. Ayuk's health is obviously a bit of a concern. We're not too sure how long he's going to be out for. I see plenty of value in Pearsall. There's going to be a full preseason of workload for him now that he's going to have, going to be fit and healthy to go. And yeah, as I said, the last 2 weeks of the season, he saw a 21% target share and 30% on first read share as well. So it just shows that when the opportunity arose for him, he grabbed it and really balled out. So and based off trade keep cut for some potential moves, I did see Pearsall and the 105 moved on for Jonathan Taylor and Tyrone Tracy. And I did see Pearsall and 301 traded for Jerry Jeudy. So
I like that second trade a lot. If you get Pearsall.
Yeah, so depending on what you like, obviously, I mean, if you're Jonathan Taylor owner, for example, and you want to trade out to get another rookie running back, then obviously perfect. You get Ricky Pearsall to throw in, who I think is going to be probably a top 25 wide receiver this year, to be honest, if he's healthy. And yeah, as I said, wide receivers usually break out in their second and third year. So, and that age bracket between 24 and 28 years old of their prime. So he's literally 24 years old. He's currently ranked the wide receiver 46 in Dynasty at the moment, which I think is just absurd value. And I'm a massive, massive buyer and trying to trade for Pearsall wherever I can.
I like it.
Let's go with you, Mullin. Who's your man?
So to start off with, I'll start with the quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings, JJ McCarthy. So JJ, as we know from last year, missed his entire rookie campaign, suffered a torn meniscus during the preseason. And with all the news that was kind of happening in that time of the year, it was trending that JJ was going to be winning out for the job over Sam Darnold at that time of the year. So, that just kind of speaks volumes to itself if they were ready to start with JJ over Sam Darnold in his first year. I just think that this situation that JJ is in is the best in the league for a quarterback. Arguably a top 2 wide receiver in Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, a great number 2, and TJ Hawkinson, who is also going to be healthy. We might forget TJ Hawkinson actually missed 8 games or the first 8 games of last year. And just to kind of, put that into words and compare to what Sam Darnold did, Darnold threw for 4,300 passing yards and 35 touchdowns in that year in that same system. During this offseason, the Vikings, all they have done is make moves to support McCarthy for his first full start in 2025. They've upgraded the O-line. I thought the O-line was pretty decent last year. They've added pieces. They signed, I think it was Will Pierce from Indiana Colts. He signed him like a 5-year deal. Upgraded that line to even better than what it was. I just think McCarthy, given his talent, how much they clearly love him, and they rejected Aaron Rodgers, even though he's worth nothing. I just think it's going to be wheels up for McCarthy. And given the QB landscape at the moment with the upcoming rookies, if I was to slot JJ in this rookie class, he'd be my clear number 1. I would take him well ahead of Cam Ward and well ahead of Shedeur Sanders. Not only because of the talent, but just that situation that he's in. Cam Ward and Shedeur, they aren't going to be as blessed, nowhere near close as what JJ is in with his situation. So, and kind of looking at deals, I was kind of, scheming. If you are going into your rookie drafts this year, you've got the 102, the 103, and you need a quarterback, I would personally send that 102 to 103 to the JJ McCarthy manager, and you could probably get something else back on return. I'm seeing on Keep Trade Cut the 107, the 106 for JJ McCarthy. So based off that value, if you can send the 102 for JJ plus a young wide receiver, maybe a Ricky Pearsall or maybe a second round pick, I just think that is gravy. And
I like it a lot.
That's deals I've been looking for a lot in my leagues where I need quarterbacks. So JJ is a big one for me.
Yeah, and they're hard to find, these QBs too, mate. They're really hard to get, and especially good ones too, and especially with a QB whisperer at the Vikings too. We saw it with Darnold. It was successful. And now with McCarthy, with, as I said, plenty of weapons. So I really like that deal, mate. I think.
Mav, do you have the sound effect yet for when all 3 of us agree on a player?
No, I don't. No. I'm still working on that. But God, that would be fucking hand right now. I'd be jamming.
It'd be going hard right now.
Yeah, triple bang.
Yeah, triple bang.
DFab.
Very good. Yes.
Who's your man?
So first cab off the rank for me is Rashie Rice. So first and foremost, if anyone is on NFL socials at all at the moment, whether it be through X or Instagram or whatever, he looks very healthy. LCL injury looks like he's completely recovered. He's working out at full pace. He's posting stuff every day. We're getting to that point of the year already where all the guys are posting their return montages and all that kind of stuff. And he looks good. With Rashie Rice, before his injury at the very beginning of week 4, chasing down after an interception, his receiving line was 29 targets for 24 catches, 288 yards and 2 touchdowns. Is by far the number one target for Mahomes, who is already in the GOAT conversation. He's an absolute freak of nature. It's a very pass-heavy offense. He's definitely the guy to have. And we saw there was a lot of people complaining about how bad Travis Kelce was at the start of the year. A big proponent of that was how good Rashie Rice was. He was the number one guy, and I don't see that changing when he comes back in. He's going to be 20. He's 24 now. He's 25 by the time the season starts. So like Mav said before, he's entering his prime. You know, he's 6'1", 204. He's not one of those super small guys that just gets cheap catches out of the slot. Like, he's built to be an alpha as well. Now, I know that there's probably some people that are sitting there, well, what about his legal stuff? Yes, he's a silly boy that was street racing and someone got hurt, right? So that did some reading on it. The general belief is that he'll get a slap on the wrist because he's a first-time offender. He should get off pretty lightly. What's most likely to happen, I think, is the NFL will come through and under their personal conduct policy, they'll slap him with a ban. It might be 4 to 6 games, I think. So in terms of redraft, he's going to fall quite a bit. But like I said, he's 24, becoming 25. So that, in the scheme of things, doesn't really impact my decision-making at all on Rashie Rice. I still think he's going to be an absolute gun. To give you guys some insight on, again, we'll keep mentioning Keep Trade Gut. Some of the deals that have been made is Xavier Legette, Parker Washington, Gabe Davis, and a future second for Rashie Rice. Like, I'm taking that deal any day of the week, even a 2026 first straight up for Rashie Rice. I'm taking that any day of the week. He's shown that he can do it. He's shown he can be a top 5 wide receiver. And his value is so low because everyone's scared of the legal trouble and his injury. Buy hard if you can.
I'm with him, mate, on Rashie Rice. I really, really love him as a player. He's got the connection with Mahomes. He's the alpha number one for the Chiefs. We've seen it many times where he's just been an absolute fantasy difference maker in matchups because he blows up quite easily. I really like it. I mean, I'm not worried about his suspension. If he gets suspended at all, I'm not worried about it.
Same.
It's dynasty, mate. So if he's out for 4 weeks, then so be it. He's 24 years old. It doesn't matter. But great.
Another triple banger. We're starting off the show hot, but just to kind of jump on with what you guys, if you can't get a deal done now for Rice, his value might even be lower once that suspension kind of hits. It might be on a team where they're contending and they just, they don't really want to deal with a 6-week wait if that is what it comes down to. So could be another opportunity there to buy.
Yeah, agreed, mate. Agreed. Now, my second buy, it's a tight end out of Baltimore. No, it's not Mark Andrews. It's Isaiah Likely, fellas. Now, I'll say this with a grain of salt, but not really, I suppose. But both
so
Andrews...
not already hedging your bets, are you?
No, not really. Andrews and Likely are both out of contract at the end of next year. So that's a concern for Andrews. Not a concern for Likely. He is the top tight end. I think will be the top tight end there in 2025. I love buying guys in contract years. He's 5 years younger than Mark Andrews, so he is the future for Baltimore, and they love using him in so many different ways as well. He plays in the slot. He plays on the outside. They play him in the inner routes as well. They play him all around. I've seen him even take some carries as well along the way too. So he's just a big bruiser of a player who is just extremely explosive if you compare him to Mark Andrews. Yards after catch, breaking tackles. He's just extremely, extremely talented. And they'll find ways to get him involved next year as well. Or more involved, should I say. I mean, Andrews dropped the game-winning touchdown in the playoffs. And I wouldn't be shocked if they moved on from Mark Andrews at any point before the season even ends. Because I think Isaiah Likely will take a massive, massive step in 2025. 5 years younger is the key for me. He's currently ranked as the tight end 16 in Dynasty. So that is great value. So if we're talking trade, keep, cut, there is 3 deals here that really, really came to me. Likely for the 209 was one of them. And we're talking tight end premium leagues, might I add too. Likely for the pick 209, likely for AD Mitchell was another one, which is just absurd. And then likely and Josh Palmer for Jerry Jeudy, who is a bit of an unknown at the moment with the QB play there at Cleveland. So there's 3 deals there that I would crunch in a heartbeat for likely. I think he's going to be, especially in tight end premium leagues, I think he's going to be a top 12 tight end going into 2025.
And just to jump in on that, sorry, DFab.
No, you go.
We saw that first game of the year when Mark Andrews wasn't there, 9 receptions for 111 yards and a touchdown. That after that, we thought Mark Andrews was going to be absolutely dead to start the year after that performance. But, he came back healthy. He was still the number 1. But, yeah, I absolutely agree. Getting these guys in these contract years, they play like they've just got everything to prove. And, all they are. They're playing for their next contract. Yeah, he's an explosive playmaker. And, yeah, he's only 24 as well. Yeah, which you mentioned. So
and tight ends do take a bit longer to develop. Don't get me wrong. I mean, but he's coming to that age now where he's prime, ready to go. He's had a taste of what it's like to be at the top level. He's ready to go, boys. Ready to go.
I'm sorry, I can't. We can't get a triple bang on this one. In triple, I think in tight end premium leagues, he's definitely worth the price. And a specific, like if you can get like an AD Mitchell for Isaiah Likely or something, or you're giving a mid-second or something, 100% in the tight end premium. He's got that ceiling. But in all the other leagues, I know that the vast majority of leagues aren't tight end premium. I am, excuse the language, I am scared shitless of anyone that has to catch a pass in Baltimore. If I had Likely, I'd hold him. I'm not trying to sell, but I feel like a buy on Isaiah Likely would mean it's a sell on Derrick Henry, because I don't think there's enough to go around for him to eat, for Lamar to eat, and then there be someone else. Mark Andrews, from all reports, is healthy at the moment, trying to figure out who in that crapshoot. At the moment, right. So, of course, things can change, but at least with the information we have right now, they're both healthy. That is going to be an absolute crapshoot to try to read. Personally, I'm staying away. I can see there's definitely value in it, but for me, he'd be at best a hold. I'm not chasing Likely.
All right. So you're sacked next week. Mullin, who's your second buy?
So to jump in through my second buy, I'm also targeting a Chiefs wide receiver, and that is Hollywood Brown. So 27 years old. He pretty much missed all of last year with the Chiefs after signing with them on a low deal. I think he only played in the back end weeks 16 and 17 in the regular season, and then also a couple of games in the playoffs. During those games, he showed that he earned some targets. And just looking at it, week 16, he only played 27% of snaps, and he had 8 targets just in that game. And the next game, week 17, he had 7 targets. So I think another full year in the offense. And also just to add, they re-signed Hollywood to another year deal, and the Chiefs have come out and said that was a priority for them coming into the offseason. Given the Rashee Rice suspension that's looming 4 to 6 weeks, also given the Xavier Worthy absolute knuckleheadness, I think he got charged for assault or something like that a few weeks ago. Hollywood, and also Travis Kelce on the decline with his age, and he clearly took a step back last year. Hollywood could come out, the first couple of weeks and be the number 1 target and just absolutely smack it for the Chiefs. And I think given the price on him now, I saw him keep trade cut a couple of thirds, you could get done for Hollywood. Yeah. He's only 27 years old, could be the number 1 target for Patrick Mahomes to start the year. Even if you only have him for a couple of weeks, like for me, I'm looking at to buy Hollywood now. If he performs in those few weeks, I'll sell him straight away. He doesn't cost you anything. Just quickly, just a little stock exchange, just, kind of wheeling and dealing, just trying to, cash in before the bottom falls out. So that's just a quick one that I'm kind of looking for this offseason.
Yeah, good flip candidate for sure.
Is it weird that we forgot what his first name actually is? Everyone calls him Hollywood Brown, but his name's actually Marquise Brown. I know, everyone forgets his first name now.
I thought he changed it legally. He's just, Hollywood.
He probably should at this point.
He definitely should. No, I agree, Mullin. I think that's a good buy. Especially the fact that they they did target him. He's not worth a hell of a lot at the moment in the open market in trades, and he could be a potential difference maker for a contender. Obviously, if you're rebuilding, you're not going to do it, but for a contender, depth is massive in fantasy football. If you don't have depth in football, then you're screwed.
He's going to be the field stretcher for him too.
Yeah, we've seen many times where the best teams actually never win. So I really like Marvin. Not Marvin. I really like Hollywood Brown. I was going to say Marquise, but Hollywood's a good one. Hollywood's a good one. Yep. All right, DFab, who's your second one, mate?
Well, very quickly before we do, I've just seen Matrix in the chat asking if we could compare any trade targets to Kanye West. Who would they be? Can I say Isaiah Likely? No. So my next trade for guy is Caleb Williams. So started to come good at the back end of last year, but was obviously a very, very tough year. I think they may have set a record for sacks against the QB on Caleb Williams last year. Since 2021, Caleb Williams ranks 106th, which is dead last in catchable throw rate, and 104th in pressure to sack rate. That's why you buy him, because everyone's going to be low on him. So he's had no offensive line. He was scrambling the whole time, got absolutely beat the hell up last year. What's changed is Ben Johnson, essentially the new Sean McVay. He's the new Wunderkind in NFL circles. He turned Jared Goff into a career, like his career best numbers, super dynamic offensive play calling. In literally less than his first week in the job at Chicago, completely flipped the interior offensive line at the Bears with Dalman, Fulney, and Jackson. So some like all pro level talent to protect him. He fixed the problem straight away. They've also got the 10th pick in the draft. I actually think they're going to trade up. We talked about that pick with the Patriots before, how they should go for a Ted McMillan and he keeps sliding. It wouldn't surprise me if we saw some kind of trade where, whether it's with the Pats or someone that's aiming for either someone in that 10 to 15 range, so then they can go up and they'll get a left tackle in what is a pretty thin draft for exterior linemen. I think that's going to be Chicago's 100% biggest priority is shoring up that line, because all the best teams always seem to have a solid offensive line. I know that a guy that I planted my flag on will be here featured later. I'm planting my flag with Caleb as well. I think he's going to throw for 4,025 touchdowns. So only 6 QBs threw for 4,000 last year, only 11 threw for 25 touchdowns. I think by result of this, Roma Dunze is a buy, DJ Moore's a buy. They've got Zacchaeus, who maybe not might not be a big fantasy relevant guy, but he's going to be that kind of gadget throw around in the offense, similar to maybe like a Jahmyr Gibbs or someone like that allows the offense to have all these little screen bubble plays and stuff like that. I think the Chicago offense is going to be top 10 next year, and Caleb Williams is the guy to have. So if you can, buy. Very quickly, the keep trade cuts. I've seen Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams and 2025 11th pick first round for Kyler Javonte and the 8th pick. So moving up in the draft and getting Caleb, amazing. And then getting Caleb Williams for Herbert and a 2026 first, which again, I'm taking the second I see that through, I'm slamming the accept button.
Yeah, it's hard not to like Caleb Williams. I mean, he did see a lot of pressure last year with that shitty offensive line, but they have already upgraded that to start off the year already without even doing anything, without even playing a game. So they already have an upgraded offensive line. I think the targets are there for DJ Moore, for Dunze, Zacchaeus. I don't know who their running back is. That could be Genty. That'll help him out too. If that's the path they go down, I really like Caleb Williams as a player. It's really time for Chicago to finally have a QB in their history.
And even if it's DeAndre Swift, if it's DeAndre Swift that's still there, I still think he could be a buy. Like I think them upgrading their offensive line is an unlock for everyone that's part of that offense.
Yeah, I think it's Genty. I really do. I really do.
Yeah, I've been seeing Genty a lot there too. But if not Genty, the running back class is that loaded. What's to say they don't spend a round 2 pick in? Completely agree with this one. Also, it's very promising to see, the first moves that Ben Johnson makes is to protect his quarterback. And let's not forget, Caleb Williams was taken ahead of Jaden Daniels last year in the rookie draft. So the talent is just on paper absolutely absurd. So yeah, wheels up. I'm personally a very big fan of Rome Odunze. So if Caleb goes big, Rome will be there for the ride too.
Love it.
All right, fellas. If we're gonna stick on the QB hype train as such, this is the guy that I ragged on last year for about 10 weeks. But now he's a buy for me because his price is so low. And that's Anthony Richardson. Now, I know there's going to be a few frowning faces around going, Anthony Richardson, why him? No, he's now got another year in the system, right? Has got athleticism. He's a dual threat QB. He's got the arm strength. He's got everything that you want out of the physicals as such as a QB. The only bad thing about his play is his accuracy as a passer. So if we can fix that in the offseason for Anthony Richardson, he's going to have a year where he'll probably be top 10 because of his rushing yards and rushing ability. He had 3 top 10 finishes in 2024. He was extremely inconsistent. He was actually really good when he came back from getting benched. Passing yards, again, wasn't really his best, but on the ground, he was, again, special. He makes plays like no one else really can. It's only him and Lamar can make these plays on the ground. They've got an extremely solid offensive line. It's one of the best in the league. The weapons are there. Pittman, who was banged up all of last year, he was nearly on IR for the rest of the year. They're going to have to get him back involved. I mean, Pittman with Richardson in the first 3 weeks. I'm going to mention Pittman's fantasy scores. So 24.7 in 2023, week 1. Week 2 was 13.6, and week 3 was 16.7. So that was 11 targets in week 1, 12 targets in week 12, and 11 targets in week 3. So they're going to have to get that chemistry back in the offseason, which I think they will. Josh Downs is in the house. He took a massive step forward in 2024. I think that's positive for him. So that's 2 really good options there to use. And then they've got some deeper threat options like A.D. Mitchell, Alec Pierce, Dolan. Like there's some options there to use. So if he can work on his accuracy, he's going to be fine. I mean, his price tag has never been lower. He was going at like 101, 102 in rookie drafts when he was getting drafted. Now you're getting him for, I don't know, I've got some deals here for Richardson for Sam Darnold straight swap. I've got Richardson for 107 from trade keep cut. I've got Richardson in 2026 first for Jordan Love, who has had sort of a down year for fantasy wise. So that's 3 solid options if you're QB needy, and you need picks as well to go along with it too. So look, if he can work on his accuracy, I think this guy is going to be a top 10 QB. The hype was too much for him going into 2024, and he did not really deliver. But if we can fix this tendency out of his game and his accuracy, I think he's going to be fine.
Yeah, there's no way I'm getting invited back next week. I honestly, I couldn't disagree more. I think if you can get a first, or even if you can get a second for Anthony Richardson, I'm taking it. The one thing that you said there was the only thing that's missing is his accuracy, which is kind of the number one job.
It is.
QB. It is. So I bought into Anthony Richardson last year. I was a believer. I preseason traded away Joe Mixon to get Michael Pittman because I believed so much in Anthony Richardson. I could just be a salty ex-owner, but I don't think I've seen anything that would make me trust his arm.
Don't forget, he's 22 though. He's 22. So
yeah, it'd be a big turnaround, and it's not panic stations.
It's a lot of film time, studying film, and working on. Again, accuracy is massive. It really is. But he's not like he's shown that he can do it. In year 1, he was fantastic. I know it's a very small sample size, but he showed those 3 games that he is quite accurate. Reading a defense obviously needs some work to be done. But again, I'm talking about a guy who was really, really high in rookie drafts 2 years ago. He was like the 101. And again, dual threat QBs are very hard to find. So if we can build this guy back up to what he was, this guy is just, he could be anything, I suppose. It's probably it could be a complete bust, or it could be a top 5 QB. We just don't know.
I'd love to be wrong. I'd love to be wrong, and I'd love for you to be right. I really would.
Just to jump in there on Richardson, I think Maverick, you could be flying solo next week. I'm a DFab. Richardson. I honestly think Daniel Jones wins the job. Personally, I think they brought him in. I don't think Richardson kind of has what it takes. I think it could be another Trey Lance scenario. Just didn't have enough experience under his belt. He was taken with the 4th overall pick in that rookie class. And I think he needs a lot more reps. And I think Shane Steichen needs to win now. And I think that best chance for them to get wins is with Daniel Jones. And honestly, for the pass catchers in Indianapolis, I think Daniel Jones is going to be their best option. He can, sling the rock, accurate enough. And Richardson, I think he was like under 50% completion for most of the year. So, I agree. I hope you're wrong. I hope I'm wrong. Sorry.
Just put Danny Dimes and accuracy in the same sentence.
Well, I'll be honest with you. Danny Dimes was close to being in my list. If I had some kind of guarantee that he was the starter, he would have been in my list.
Yeah, I really $15 million deal though, so they do have invested quite a bit of money for a backup QB.
To me, that's a prove it deal. They want to see if he's got it, and they get him out of the Giants. He's been a big change of scenery guy for me for the last 2 years. I reckon he's going to live up to some sort of expectation. I like Danny Dimes this year, assuming he gets the spot.
Boys, he's cheap.
He's cheap.
He'll never let us forget it if he's right about this.
And look, if you're a rebuilding team, mate, it's not a bad buy.
Yeah, 100%. It's a lotto ticket. It's worth the gamble.
Yeah. Sure. Mullin, who's your next buy?
So my next buy, I'm running into the running back position. I am targeting one of the Seattle Seahawks running backs, and that is Kenneth Walker. So just to kind of recap on Kenneth Walker's last year, he was injured for a majority of it, only played 11 games. But in those 11 games, he averaged 16.5 PPR points per game. And that was number 12 in all RBs. And that was, ahead of James Conner, ahead of Chase Brown, and ahead of Breece Hall. Even in those 11 games, he finished 8th in missed tackles or forced missed tackles amongst all running backs. He's just a home run hitter. Kenneth Walker, he is explosive. He can take it to the house from anywhere. And with new offensive coordinator for the Seahawks, Clint Kubiak, coming into the system, he had a presser come out when he first joined that he is just absolutely enamored by Kenneth Walker. And just to quote him on what he said, he is looking forward to him in this scheme, and we're going to ask a lot out of him. Clint Kubiak runs that outside zone scheme, which is very favorable for these quick and explosive running backs, which just suits Kenneth Walker to the T. I think Kenneth Walker, his price is just super low at the moment, especially given how well Zach Charbonnet kind of performed in those last 6 weeks without him. But if we look at the whole scope with Kenneth Walker and Charbonnet on that Seahawks offense, when Walker's been healthy, Charbonnet has been able to get on the field barely anything. Like, he's just had no opportunities. Kenneth Walker has just always been the clear better back out of those two. So I just think, given that situation, given the recency bias that we just kind of love to fall into in fantasy football, I'd be definitely selling Zach Charbonnet, and I'd be buying a whole heap of Kenneth Walker. Looking at, Keep Trade Cut again, we're going to be referencing that a lot. Great to just kind of check out the databases and gauge the value of real life trades that are happening on in dynasty leagues. The 107 for Kenneth Walker. Just to compare that to this year's rookie running back class, probably Quinshon Judkins, Caleb Johnson, that kind of area. There could be an opportunity that those guys are going to go to a, crowded backfield very similar to Walker anyhow, but we don't know how they're going to perform in the NFL. We know with Kenneth Walker, he can, if he can stay healthy, that's the only knock I have for him. Also, prior to last year, he wasn't really involved in the receiving game, but last year in those 11 games, he had 46 receptions, which is just like those receptions in PPR leagues is just so valuable. To add on to, how explosive he is, he also had 7 rushing touchdowns within that 11-game stint. So he's a touchdown magnet, explosive, included into the running game, and the new OC absolutely loves him. So he just gets a huge tick for all of me. And also with, the new quarterback change over to Sam Darnold, I think they're just going to be running the ball so much in Seattle, especially given their offensive line, the state of it is now. So he's a very big buy for me.
Yeah, Agreed, man. I love Kenneth Walker, and at his price, like I've just brought up keep trade cut while you're doing it, just to give some insight on like player for player trades. Kenneth Walker for Justin Fields, Kenneth Walker for Isaac Garendo and Wan'Dale Robinson. Like it's a landslide if you're getting Kenneth Walker out of that. I love that. He was a league winner last year. He's an absolute stud.
Yeah, and also just to add on that, sorry, Maverick, before you go, I know it kind of goes against our philosophy of not trying to trade for running backs during this point of the year before rookie drafts, but like I cannot see any world where Seattle is going to draft a running back when they already have those two guys in their room. They've got so many other holes to fill, that offensive line being number one. So yeah, I just can't see them adding anything more, which is going to stabilize Kenneth's value next year.
Oh, you don't like it?
I don't mind
it.
I don't mind it. No, look, my biggest concern with Kenny Walker is he going to be signing a contract with Seattle?
True.
He's a 2026 free agent. So he's on his last year of his deal this year. Charbonnet has shown that he could take on the role. I don't know how much Kenny Walker's going to cost, but as you said, they've got plenty of holes at Seattle already that they need to address before they start at running back. I could see Kenny Walker getting traded on. I mean, health is a concern for Kenny Walker. Talent alone is fine, but health is a concern. But talent is there. So I would not be shocked if Zach Charbonnet at some point is the RB1 at Seattle for, well, I guess let's say 2026 onwards. If they have a crappy year this year at Seattle, I wouldn't be shocked to see Kenny Walker in trade talks at the deadline.
I agree.
Yeah. And especially with a loaded running back class, man, it goes against everything that I have been saying for the last month and trading for running back. So I can't get around that deal just based on that alone. So, this running back class is far too good to be trading late picks.
That's fair.
DFab,
yes. This boy was my egg last year. Mav, you know how much I was on the hype train, and it's Trey Benson, the new muscle hamster. I am a big believer in Trey Benson. Historically, second-year running backs are always a value purchase, especially ones that didn't really get too much of an opportunity. So Trey Benson, his college profile is that he had like breakaway speed. He ran a 4.39 40. He's 6 foot 216. He's built like a linebacker but plays out of the backfield. And has decent hands. So he has the college profile of being able to be a 3-down back. The big key with Trey Benson, though, is that James Conner's old, man. The narrative of James Conner being too old has been around for, I think, this is now coming into the third season. He's going to be 30 by the time the season starts. The big fella has had, obviously, massive achievement by him, but like he's a leukemia survivor. Like his body has been through the ringer, going through that kind of treatment, and then being a running back in the NFL. He's 30 years old. Everybody knows, whether you're a casual fan or you're a sicko like us, that it's going to happen. It's going to happen quick. When his body breaks down, he's really going to fall off. So I bet on that. I thought that was going to happen last year, and James Conner actually had a pretty decent year and looked all right. I was maybe a year too early. I think Arizona have a good fantasy offense as well. They have had, with Conner in the backfield. Obviously, they've got Marvin Harrison Jr. on the outside. I don't think they'll miss a beat with Benson when he does come in. Speaking about trades and, not trading for running backs with high draft picks, the Cards have the 16th and the 47th overall. Everything looks like they need to shore up their defense. They need to shore up their line. So they're going to pick what's looking like James Pierce from Tennessee and who was it? Can't remember who it was, but an offensive tackle in the second round. I'm not worried about them getting a real high value running back. It's more than likely that when James Conner is done, that they will hand the keys straight to Benson. I think it's going to come out in a timeshare at the start of the year. But that's fine for Benson. He's only 22. So I got all the faith in the world. This will be the year that he breaks out. Some recent trades for him were the 206 for Trey Benson, which I think is an absolute steal, and also for Diggs in a 2026 second. I'm more than okay with either of those deals.
I think you'd get him for less than the 206, to be honest.
I think so too.
I can get him for a
Yep.
third rounder.
Yep, I think
Which is, I love trading for. Again, this is for running backs, I suppose, and it's against my mantra. But I don't mind trading for backup running backs because you just know at some point when they get used, it's going to be a full workload, right? You know what you're going to get out of them. You're either going to get nothing out of them or you're going to get a full workload. It's a lot different to wide receivers where you have 3-4 options and you got the wide receiver 3 in your squad, but he scores 2 points, 3 points every game. Who gets a little opportunity, but the ball gets spread around a bit more. If James kind of goes down and he's very injury prone, Benson is straight in without a heartbeat, and he gets 20 plus carries, maybe 15 plus carries.
They're going to treat him like a workhorse.
You know exactly what you're going to get, right? So I like trading for backup running backs just for that reason.
Yeah,
agreed.
I'm a fan too. And just looking at it, last year that was the most games played that James Conner has had in his career.
Not gonna happen.
Yeah. It's not going. Lightning isn't going to strike twice. So
he's 30.
Definitely in.
Yeah. He's 30. But he's my age, and I don't break down, so he won't break down either. Anyway, that broke down first. Anyway, that's real.
Like Trey Benson. Trey Benson.
All right. So if we're talking about the same team, mate, my next buy is on the same team as Trey Benson. It is Marvin Harrison Jr., boys. I think he's a fantastic buy. He fits in my category for year 2, year 3 breakouts. Now, obviously, he's going into year 2. He had an interesting year in year 1. He was more used as a deep option on go routes and everything like that. And that's just not him. He wasn't used in short and intermediate routes, and that will change in 2025. He'll be used in those scenarios a lot more. I know that's Trey McBride's role, but they have to get your alpha number 1 involved more down the ground, get him hot, and then work him out to stretch the field a little bit. He was 42.8% versus man coverage in 2024. His win rate, so he just wins one-on-ones. He's got he had a target rate of 34.4% versus man coverage too. So once they saw him one-on-one, they threw him the ball. He was the first read percentage was at 32.1%. So again, they just see him one-on-one. He's a match winner, well, not match winner, but he's a play winner as such. So I think he is probably the guy that I would be looking at as I'd be trading a lot to get him, might I add. And he's worth a shitload, might I add. He was
he's not cheap.
He was the 101, 102 at worst going into last year's draft. Depending on what league you play, Superflex or 1 QB. But he was meant to be the guy. Now you're getting him at a real discount. I mean, I've been seeing him for Kyron Williams straight swap, depending on if you like Kyron Williams or not. But that's not a bad trade. I've been seeing Marvin Harrison for 102, 201, and 304. Again, a wide receiver class who isn't that deep. So if you wanted a top option and you don't want a running back, you trade for Marvin Harrison Jr. I've seen another one here. It was pick 108, Romeo Dubs, and a round 2 pick for Marvin Harrison. These type of deals.
Steal.
Yeah, you can get him for 1 first-round pick. He was worth 2, nearly 3 first-round picks a year ago. Now he's worth 1. Or maybe a first rounder or a second rounder. He is going to have a fantastic year.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah. I think the way he looked in the back end of last year, you're right. They just simplified the play. They simplified his route tree and simplified the playbook for him. It was just go routes and post routes and stuff. I think they're going to be a little bit more dynamic. They're going to work out. He's a possession catcher as well. They're going to find a way to put the ball in his hands, and he's dynamic enough that when he does get his hands on it, that he's going to be able to create a play. So I'd like to see his ADOT drop a bit and give him some more opportunities just to make plays with his own legs instead of being thrown open or anything like that.
Yeah, I love this one too, Maverick. And let's not forget, before Marvin Harrison even stepped on the field, in Dynasty rankings, I think he was going number 4 behind CD, Chase, and Jefferson. Before he even took a snap, everybody was just in love with him. And now you can get him for pennies on the dollar, it seems like. So I've got a question for you both. if you're in a complete rebuild, you have the 101. Are you
Yes.
happy to move that 101 for Marv just in straight up Genty
Straight
for
away.
101?
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, the 101's Genty.
Yep.
Yeah.
If you're in a rebuild, you're not targeting running backs.
Again, it all depends on what your league setup is. Like if you're full PPR, if you're half PPR, if you're super flex, if you've got tight end premium, there's a range of different, I guess, things to consider. Even what your roster makeup is, you might have a couple of young guys at wide receiver, but there's a lot to like about Marvin, and you can definitely be justified if you trade the 101 or Genty for Marvin Harrison.
I think you can get more on top. Anyhow, like if you are trading away the
too.
101 for Marv, get more on top. At the very worst, you can do it for a straight swap, but people are going to be paying more, especially after that down year, for sure.
Yeah. I saw that comment that you put up on the screen as well, Mav. Sorry, Jay Siga, we haven't really kept it hush. He's going to explode next year. He's gonna go big.
There's no hush on that when you put it on the screen, fellas. So
it's
it's
as
on.
loud as it gets.
It's on. But you guys are hired. You're back next week, by the way. Thank you.
That's all talk.
Mullin, who's your fourth buy?
So for my fourth guy, I'm going to be diving into the tight end position. And just to kind of put a bit of context around this, the tight end rookie class coming up is pretty loaded, along with running backs. It's been mocked that a couple of tight ends, at least two, I think will probably go in the first round in Tyler Warren and Colson Loveland. Howard Fannin was kind of rolling around that second round. So, the hype on rookie tight ends is very high. So I think it's a good time to capitalize on that position. Jake Ferguson for me, I love Jake Ferguson. I think we look at 2023, he had a breakout campaign when he had the whole year with Dak Prescott. He finished with 71 receptions, 761 yards, and 5 touchdowns. Last year was a bit of a slower burn, but Dak only played for 7 weeks. And, if we kind of compare those 7 weeks to with Dak to without Dak, he had 334 yards, 38 receptions with Dak in 7 games. And the 7 games without, he had 21 receptions for 160 yards. So nearly half his production without Dak during that stint. So, and also just given his touchdown upside, his red zone targets in 2023, he ranked 4th in the league amongst all tight ends in red zone targets. So I think he's just an absolute touchdown dominator. And when it comes to tight ends for me in dynasty leagues, I always try to see if they are going to be the 1 or 2 option for their quarterback. Clearly, he's not going to be the number 1 with CD Lamb there and just how much of a stud he is. But after CD, there's no one there. They've got rid of Brandon Cooks, as we mentioned at the start of the show. He's now at the Saints. I can't see them not adding any more pieces, but I know Matthew Golden has been mocked there at pick 12. Even if Golden goes there, he's a rookie. He's not going to have that touchdown upside that Jake Ferg has. And, it's going to take him a little bit longer to get acclimated into the NFL. We just have to hope that Dak Prescott stays healthy. I also think, just to slightly touch this in or throw this in, Dak Prescott is also a buy for me. His value is way too low. And Jake Ferguson also is a part of that. So for me, referencing trades, the 210 is what I saw for Jake Ferguson. If you're going to take a crack in this draft with a 210 at a tight end, just trade it for Jake Ferguson. He's proven. I think he's going to be top 12 guaranteed next year if, given Dak and Ferguson stay healthy the whole year. I'd much rather just take that known commodity, very cheap at the moment, especially with all that rookie tight end hype. So, he's a big one for me at the tight end position.
And especially, everyone forgets in 2023, Jake Ferguson was the highest targeted tight end in the red zone for the whole year. So he's a touchdown machine when required. And as you said, at the moment, they've got no one else. So they've got CD Lamb and nothing. So Dak Prescott.
They're going to have to throw because they're going to have to throw because
no running back.
Sucks.
Yeah, there's no running backs.
Horrible.
And they're going to be playing from behind a lot. And Dak loves playing from behind. He's a bit of a fantasy pig when it comes to playing from behind. He loves the stat pad and put on a decent looking performance when it really hasn't gone that way. So
he does.
Jake Ferguson's not a bad buy. Also, we just had a comment here from Lukey B in the chat saying Genty is worth more than Marvin Harrison Jr. Perfect. There you go. So
that's what we like to hear.
That's
probably suits that buy narrative even more, doesn't it?
Genty hasn't even got a team yet, fellas. He has not got a team yet. We don't know who he plays for, and he's worth more than a guy who has a team and played a year in the league and carved out a really good performance for what he had. So appreciate the comment there, Lukey B.
Yes.
DFab.
Yes, my fourth. Now, before I go into my reasons why, so my fourth player is Breece Hall, and I want to ask the both of you at face value: is he a buy or a sell for you guys?
Maverick.
Oh, that's soft.
No, he's probably a buy. He's cheap.
Yeah, and for me, I've been back and forth with this all off season. At the start of the off season, I was a buy. I just thought, given the situation, he just didn't really look like himself. And with the other running backs in there, I don't think they're really going to stand a chance against Breece Hall in this upcoming year. But yeah, I've kind of been floating back and forth. The addition of Justin Fields, I actually do like Justin Fields for Breece Hall. I think he's going to open up lanes, and there actually is a little bit of history of Justin Fields throwing to the running backs as well. So that's not kind of out of the picture. But yeah, I'll probably lean more towards a buy. For your sake,
all right. So I'm glad, and that he's a big buy for me. So everyone's kind of a bit low on Breece Hall because there's a lot of uncertainty about what his role is going to look like. Obviously, Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams is gone. We've got a new QB coming in. Pretty average year. Well, what looks to be a pretty average year by his standards. He was RB4 first year in, then RB17 last year. A couple of things to note. So Jets have come out and said that he was banged up last year. He was really quite hurt. And there's lots of reports talking about how hurt he was. And despite that, he was still running back 17. The biggest buy note for me, though, is that despite the fact he was hurt, despite all the nonsense between how pass funnel that offense became, in 2023, when he was the RB4, he averaged 13.1 rushing attempts a game and 58.5 yards per game. Last year, it was the exact same amount of attempts per game, and he had 54.8 rushing yards per game. So there's a disparity of less than 4 yards per game in terms of rushing output. What he did on the ground last year was exactly the same as what he did in 2023 when he was a top 5 running back. The difference was that Aaron Rodgers doesn't throw to the running back, and all the touchdowns went to the wide receivers. It was like so many passing attempts in the red zone. That's what took a lot of Breece Hall's upside away. Now that we've got either Justin Fields coming in who loves a dump off, it's going to be a very run-focused offense, or worst case scenario, if he can't cut it and he gets dropped out, Tyrod Taylor, who I believe is behind him at the moment, unless they draft someone, Tyrod Taylor is someone that you can trust. He also loves a dump off. He incorporates that release valve to the running back as opposed to the tight end. I think there's a lot of safety in that offense, whether they're behind or in front. Breece Hall's going to be out there a lot. And the fact that even when he was banged up, he was still able to provide what he always has on the ground, I think that passing upside comes back, and he's got top 5 upside. So for me, he's a massive, massive buy. You just have to look at the numbers as opposed to what the narratives and stuff that's around it. If you trust the numbers and you're the kind of fantasy manager that trusts the numbers, he's a guy that you can really go after. To give you some ideas on packages, the two ones that really stood out to me was if you're chasing draft, if you're not that big on the draft, the 108 and the 408 for Breece Hall, really like that. But the one that I liked and I think probably has some cause for chat is Hall and a 2026 second for Tuba and a 2026 first. I'm taking that every day of the week, especially knowing how high so many people are on Tuba. For me, that's an easy smash, but probably doesn't sound as palatable on that first listen than what it actually is. I think if you can get a caliber of player like Breece Hall for that kind of price, any day of the week, I'm taking that, and I'm happy to pay more.
Yeah. And I do like Breece Hall. I really do. I get it as like for trading for running backs, but you've got me. You sold me. I'm sold. No, like his price tag is pretty low at the moment too. He's extremely talented. he was a top 3 RB coming into the draft, as into redraft leagues last year. So the talent's there. And if you're getting it for a massive discount, like the 108 is ridiculous. If you're getting it for 108 and something to chuck in there, then absolutely I'm doing that. And even that Tuber deal, I'm in on that too. So if you're getting a pick back with getting Brees, then absolutely.
Yep. And by the time the season starts, he's only 24. Like there's
young.
no age narrative. Like he's so young, he's so good. He's what is he? He's 5'11", 217. He's a big body. He can handle the hits. Like for me, there's no negatives. It's just narrative stuff. And I'm not the kind of guy that buys into the narrative too much.
You love narratives.
Yeah, I like using narratives to get trades done. That's why I like narratives. It's all selling points. It's all selling points. In terms of what his production is and what the stats say, he's a massive buy.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, me too.
All right,
Triple
fellas. My last buy is a bit of an interesting one. It's probably not something you'd expect coming into this buy show, but it is Jalen Coker for the wide receiver at the Carolina Panthers. Now, I'm going to keep this short and brief on Coker because the sample size for him is he hasn't got that much. He's an undrafted rookie, but there's no one, and I mean no one currently playing wide receiver at Carolina. They've got Thielen, who's turning 35 years old, and then Coker. I mean, sure, they'll probably address something in the draft, don't get me wrong. But again, an unproven talent, right? So the second half of the year, Coker was pretty good. He averaged 5 targets a game and 8.9 half-point PPR, fantasy points per game. He's currently ranked the wide receiver 76 in Dynasty rankings. With an opportunity for that to really rise. When he had 6 or more targets last year, he averaged 15.1 fantasy points. That was only 3 games. But that shows if you target him, he's gonna deliver some points to you. So, I truly do believe if they don't address this wide receiver position, which they should with Bryce Young, he needs another option there for him. Who, again, Bryce Young did take a bit of a step forward in 2025 when he came back, showed that he's talented enough to be involved in the offense. And Coker, right now, I've obviously got him at the number 1 wide receiver at the Panthers. He costs you a 3rd round pick. A 3rd round pick for a potential number 1. And if he balls out next year, his price tag just goes higher and higher and higher, right? It's a no risk move for potentially a high ceiling.
You go.
You go. I was just going to say, completely agree. And for what you pay, like you said, a 3rd round pick, we know the hit rates for 3rd round rookie picks in fantasy. It is very, very low. We've seen glimpses of what Coker can do. And if he has the opportunity to be the number 1 there, his value is only going to rise. So, I agree with that one.
Wide receiver 76. That's what he's ranked right now.
Buried. Absolutely buried.
Gonna cost you nothing. And he's it sounds dumb, but I'm a big believer in, especially if you've got someone to come in with a chance at the 1, they need to have the body to do it. The NFL, there's so much that just says guys that come through with the intangibles and the tangible stats, like the body makeup, wingspan. He's got all that. He's got the build.
6'3", 213.
He's not small. He's not small.
He's a big boy.
He's a big boy. So he's got the red zone upside. He's gonna have the opportunity. Fits their age profile, so like they should invest in him and give him a fair crack. So I like it for something that's going to cost you nothing. It's a good pick.
Cost you a 3rd round pick. That's all it costs you.
You might not even need to give up a pick. Like if you don't believe in this year's draft, then 100% send a 3rd. But get him as a throw in. Find the Coker owner because he's going to be on someone's list and use him as just a throw in piece. Like you get something a lot more and use him as a value piece.
The highest I'm seeing is a 2026 second rounder. And depending
the
on
highest,
where you're at, where your list is at, it could be a back end second, obviously. But again, you need depth in fantasy football, right? So he's not going to start for your week 1, and he probably shouldn't start for your week 1. But
agreed.
Yeah, he could get there. He could get there.
Yeah, agreed.
Mullin, who's your final buy?
My final guy, and I've been debating whether or not to do the Duval soundtrack, but I won't. I'll for another day. I'll just tease that for now. Duval. No, that's it. That's all you're gonna get. Trevor Lawrence, quarterback for the Jacksonville Jaguars. I just think the market on Trevor Lawrence is super low at the moment, and just given the Liam Cohen just absolute scenes that are coming into Jacksonville, I think, compared to what he had previously, it's going to be the best spot that he will be in. He's tied to an absolute young stud wide receiver in Brian Thomas Jr. He's got another full offseason or preseason with him under his belt to, establish that connection and get even deeper. And Trevor Lawrence, he only played 9 full games last year. He just absolutely battled with injuries, and their O-line sucked. They have made improvements, and I think they'll probably address more during the draft. Not only to the O-line, but also they'll add another offensive weapon. I believe Travis Hunter is a very big candidate to go to Jacksonville. I think they've got the 5th overall pick. So depending on what kind of happens there, I'd love to see Travis Hunter. Travis Hunter, Brian Thomas Jr., Trevor Lawrence, Gabe Davis. It would just be absolutely phenomenal, I think.
Yeah.
And, just kind of with that, kind of as a picture already, Liam Cohen, let's not forget what he did to Baker Mayfield with his first year in the Bucs. Baker Mayfield, his highest rushing yards before Liam Cohen came in was 160. He took that up to 378. I think there is very sneaky rushing upside with Trevor Lawrence. He's already shown us in his 3 seasons prior to last year, in his healthy seasons, he averaged nearly 300 rushing yards. I could see that going up to 400 with Liam Cohen and a few more designed runs. He's a big body, 6'6", absolute tank. I just think his value at the moment is so low, and kind of to intertwine what I mentioned with JJ McCarthy at the start of this year, at the start of this show, if you are looking for a quarterback and you've got a high pick, 102, 103, I'd be doing the same kind of deal, moving the 102, 103 to the Trevor Lawrence manager, trying to get a little bit back. I'd honestly be happy to move the 102 or 103 just straight up. I don't think you'll need to pay that though, so play the market a little bit. Just because, I think he's much better than the talent they have now. He's in a pretty good situation, the best that he's ever going to be in, linked to that new head coach and offensive play caller in Liam Cohen. And he signed that huge deal as well. He's still got 4 years, getting like 50, 55 mil a year. So Trevor Lawrence for me is a very big buy.
All right.
It might feel like a bitter pill to swallow, but I like the selling points are good. If he's ever going to prove it, it's going to be this year. So it's good buy. Yeah.
It has to be this year. I mean, he's just trying a big deal though, so he's probably okay. But it is a concern that Brian Thomas did get better with Mac Jones versus Trevor Lawrence.
To jump in on that though, Mac Jones, all he had to throw to was Brian Thomas. Christian Kirk was out at that point. Evan Engram was gone at that point. It was purely just BTJ. If they don't add anybody else in the offense during this, off-season and draft, which I just can't see, Brian Thomas Jr. will be getting everything from Trevor Lawrence, who is a much better passer than Mac Jones, I think. So,
yeah, good shout.
DFab, who's your final buy?
It's $1.01. We all know who this guy is for me. If you followed the pod for the last few weeks or followed me on X, you know exactly who it is. But drum roll, Devontae Adams. I am so high on Devontae. I think he's going to be a top 5 wide receiver this coming year. Planting my flag. I believe in Tay. You asked me why. So last year played 14 games, 141 targets, 85 receptions, over 1,000 yards, 8 touchdowns. Only in 14 games, there was some changeover, changed teams, still was a top 12 wide receiver in half PPR. Was even higher in full PPR. The big key is that it's a real plug and play for the Rams. They need to make zero adjustments to the way they play. Puka Nacua is still going to get his, still going to go about, spreading the field the way he does, running through with his post routes, those little in and under drag routes, all that's going to stay the same. And Devontae Adams is just going to sit in that Cooper Kupp role that Cooper Kupp has essentially played and won a triple crown in. Like the playbook is built around 2 alpha 1A 1B wide receivers. I don't see that changing. Stafford for years has supported multiple fantasy relevant wide receivers and blokes that have had the ceiling of first overall. Definitely top 12 guys like Kupp, Nakua, Golladay. Not worried about them at all. Last season, the Rams had they were top 10 in pass yards. They were top 10 in fewest ints. They had the 5th fewest sacks all year, but they were 17th in touchdowns. So they just weren't scoring. That's going to come. I think the positive regression is going to come. With the way their line works, Stafford's going to have the same amount of time for plays to develop. Sean McVay would have brought Devontae Adams in, knowing what he brings to the table, seeing what he looked like last year. They're going to have designated plays specifically for DA. Sure, it's going to be up and down who scores each week between him and Nakua, but I have zero worries. Like it's not 95% there's a chance. I don't think there's a chance that DA isn't at the very least a top 12 wide receiver, but I think he's got there's a world where he's number 1 wide receiver next year with like 12 touchdowns. I think he can go massive. Some trades, which again, you could probably tell I'd smash really quickly, just to give you guys an idea on the value he's got. Devontae Adams for a 2025 second, so the 203. Devontae, TJ Hawkinson, and the 102 this year for Drake London and the 107. I'm taking that every day of the week. You can get so much for those picks. You could trade out the 102 and, as you can see, get TJ Hawkinson, who's likely a top 3 tight end, and get Devontae as well. It's an unbeatable. He's by far the number 1 buy player in my eyes. Can you tell that I really like him?
No, I can't.
I can't. Massive fan. He's smash the buy button. Get him in. Do whatever you can.
I agree. I think he's obviously a great buy. It's obviously a win now sort of buy if you're rebuilding.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Obviously, just the context, but it's definitely a win now buy, and he could win your league. It could cost you a 1st round pick due to his age. And if you're in the win now areas, then absolutely I'd be doing that.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with you too. DFab, and I've got a question for you both. A little question. Do you think there's a realistic chance that Devontae will be, the higher targeted, the higher producing receiver compared to Puka Nakua next year? Yep.
He did it with Garrett Wilson.
I can see that too. I can see that so clear that, in redraft, I think I'll be taking Devontae ahead of Puka. You won't need to, but I just see that door so clearly. That's just the writing's on the wall for that one.
I think I'm more Puka than Devontae personally, but again, these guys were both in the top 10.
So can't go wrong with either. Yeah.
And to be fair, Mav, that doesn't surprise me. And you and I made a trade last year, Garrett for Devontae, because you had the faith in Garrett. Devontae Adams still has the stink of his time in the Raiders on him.
Yeah.
And people forget that he dropped like 3 passes or 4 passes over the space of a season and a half when he was with A-Rod in the Packers. The dude has some of the safest hands that we've seen since Larry Fitzgerald. Like, I don't think he's lost that. He doesn't look like he's lost a step. He still looks healthy. 1,000% Damo, I see a world where he takes the number 1 spot off. I don't think it means Puka is bad, but I definitely think there's a world where Puka becomes the 1B as opposed to the 1A.
Yeah, I'm intrigued to see how this offense goes. Look, personally, I think it's going to be Puka. But again, I'm confident that both players in the top 10, if they're healthy, obviously, as top 10 wide receivers, which is pretty crazy to imagine that. And Stafford's going to eat.
Stafford, Stafford.
Yeah. But awesome, fellas. That'll probably not do us tonight. Again, join our. All the links are below. We have a Patreon available. It's free to join, which will be some content in there soon. A WhatsApp group will be linked into that group. Again, free to join. Talk some NFL banter with us on a daily basis. We're there daily, chatting shit as we always do. Especially me. I'm a massive shit talker.
Mostly you.
Yeah, if I have a chance to talk shit, I'm all in. So that's the group for me. But it's one to join, boys. It's where we can get us on a daily basis for any sort of tips that you need or if you just want to talk football. So next week, fellas, I reckon we talk sells. We're biased this week, but I think we're sells next week. So I think we're going to see a lot of running backs in that sell category next week.
Yeah.
I was actually really close to putting Eddie into the buy this week, but I can't buy a running back. So
yeah. And on that, for everyone that's watching, if you do have buys or sells that you want us to have a chat about, jump in the WhatsApp, jump on X, let us know, and we'll have a chat about it next week.
Awesome. All right, fellas, thanks for joining me yet again. And we'll see you again probably 7 p.m. next Wednesday for another sell, or a sell episode, should I say.
And I just want to quickly jump in there just to tease my sells for next week. Anthony Richardson will be my number one sell. So, yeah, jump in.
So, Mav, will be just doing that next week. I love it.
You're not invited next week.
I'm just kidding.
Anyone else.
I'm just kidding.
If you're kidding, he will be in mine.
He's a buy, fellas. Anyway, we'll,
go make some trade, guys. Flood
Yes.
those trades. We've just
Get it
given you a heap of suggestions. Just absolutely piss off all the other managers in your league and just be a pest. We love it. We love it.
Love it.
We'll see you next week.
Awesome.
See you guys.
See you guys.